And we're live. Welcome to Earful of Dirt, the Major League Rugby podcast. I'm Corey Munson, coming to you live from Iowa. I'm joined, as always, by Aaron Castro over in Arizona. And Liam Madigan-Freed in Texas.
Whoa.
Josh is usually hanging out over in the comments, but this week he decided to go watch hockey, whatever the hell that is. So I'll be hanging out with you in the comments, so feel free to hit us up. But don't ask too many questions because I still got to talk too. So, how's your week been, guys?
It was.
'Twas indeed.
Super informative.
I'm pretty much on the same level, man. Technology is a bitch, though, I will say. I had a lot of problems editing the most recent game film for Coach Fitzpatrick. We use a program called Sports Code, and it just decided that it hated me, and it hated the footage I was trying to piece together. So I spent about 6.5 hours editing one game. And
Oof.
Yeah, so that set my Monday off beautifully.
That is brutal.
Brutal.
All right. Well, on that happy note, for those of you new to the podcast, we do this each and every Monday night here on YouTube. We discuss news, rumors, and everything about Major League Rugby, the United States Professional Rugby Union. It's a chance for us to look at the issues, hear from the league, its players, team leadership, and check in with our friends from across the U.S. rugby scene. Which, honestly, I don't know about you guys, but I don't feel like we've done enough of this year. We need to get some guest commentators to stop by sometime soon.
Oh, absolutely. Brian Ray, where are you at, man?
Yeah.
I think we need to take a road trip to the ARN podcast first.
So, Aaron, with all that said, what we got coming up on the show this week?
Well, if you're in Texas, you're in trouble. Historic first draw. That was cool. Or not, depending on who you are. Seattle, best Rugby United New York. And, after about 20 minutes, it was really a one-sided affair. And, of course, our beloved Eagles. They got a win. But we'll talk about why it was more like a loss later in the show.
Yeah, it's not a lot of great news coming out of the ARC this year so far. But I'm sure we'll discuss all of that good stuff here shortly. All right, so let's go to Texas. Liam's new homeland, as it was.
Yeah, you guys should come to Texas, man. Come give me a visit.
I was just there. I flew over you and then came back to Iowa for some reason.
I mean, I enjoy Houston. Houston's got some great food. It's got great entertainment. It has been rugby. I just need to, get it done. Maybe if USA Rugby put more matches there, I would have more reason to come than I have now. I mean, I have a lot of reasons to come to Houston. Don't get me wrong. It's just about, plugging it in. So.
I'll tell you one thing Texas does not have a lot of: winning professional rugby teams.
Fuck you, man.
So, this weekend, both Houston and Austin were bested. Toronto traveled to Houston, ended up beating the SaberCats 44-27, and meanwhile, San Diego was in Austin, where they took home a win 45-17. Of course, most of what I learned about these two games came from Twitter, since both of them were supposed to be on Facebook Live, and neither of them were on Facebook Live the entire evening.
Whoa! That is a lie.
They were kind of on it.
They were on Facebook Live. We'll talk about those issues as we continue through the podcast.
I could not view either entire game on Facebook Live.
That's because you live in Iowa, Corey. I'm pretty sure your electricity's run off a hamster on a wheel, like in the fucking back.
No, it's run off a pig on a wheel. There are more pigs than people in this state. No joke, truth time.
Pig powered electricity. Oh, oh, that was good.
Aaron, talk us through some Sabercats.
All right, so I thought I was going to talk out of my ass at the beginning, but then I found out that I picked Toronto. I forgot that. I thought I picked Houston with the slight edge. Liam, I got to tell you, in my picks pool, Craig says get bent because your confidence. I was like, that was a confident pick. Are you sure? He's like, your confidence in the Cats swayed him, and he picked the Sabercats. But I apparently did not. And I picked Toronto, so I feel better about this. But we saw proof of concept. I felt more confident in Toronto going into this match later in the week when I found out that they made a crazed, smart tactical decision. Mark Winokur, instead of booking flights home, they booked flights direct to Houston, and they spent the week in Houston getting used to that, nasty Texas spring humidity, because it was like 90% humidity or something at kickoff, something stupid.
It felt gross because like there was like a bunch of wet fog. Like it wasn't raining, but it just felt like swamp ass, but
Right.
It was just
It
everywhere.
felt like South Texas winter.
Exactly, yeah. But I mean, I guess it beats negative 20 degrees up where I grew up. So
so I felt more confident about that. Getting Rob Brewer back in full fitness, he didn't start or play against Seattle last week, was a significant portion of their game plan up front in the scrimmage. And in ball carrying, of course, as well. What I'm seeing from Toronto and from really every team in the league, for the most part, including the Sabercats, is a lot of creative rugby. We're seeing fly halves kick the ball, put the ball in play. I think, who else was it? So Sam Malcolm had a great game. Dan Moore continues to have great games. Avery Oitomen had a game. Like, these guys are playing some creative rugby. I was really wondering what they were going to do, but they're getting it done. Taking advantage of penalties, playing the good tactical game, using their set piece. Even for a little bit, Houston was trying to claw back. They kept trying. And, what we saw last week against Seattle is that their fitness at the end for Toronto fell apart. This time, instead of allowing Houston claw back in, they just did enough to close out this game. I saw a lot more creativity again from Houston than what we saw, all of last season. Their forwards are getting more fit. Liam was like, why are you talking about Joshua Vithi? Why? I was like, so he didn't play. He's nursing an injury. I got it. However, he's such a huge difference maker because of his athleticism. He's out with injury. But Kelly Colbert, he put on a great shift. He's this guy who's been playing for the Reds for a while up in Dallas. And, when you talk about talent hidden in club rugby, there is talent hidden in club rugby. And Kelly Colbert, on the bench at scrum half, Chris Saint is another guy. There's guys hidden in club rugby that have just needed a shot, and really the only professional domestic rugby outlet was either playing sevens on tour with Eagle Sevens, or somehow being lucky enough to get selected for the Eagles or Eagles Selects. So, Kelly Colbert is athletic. He's really good, but he's not Vithi. And I think there's no other wing in the league that has the combination of power and athleticism that Vithi has from the wing position. He's basically like a 6, but he's a fast winger. Like, he's very physical. He breaks tackles all over the place. And, missing him and his chemistry that comes with Osea Kalenasau really screws with what Houston can do.
Yeah, no, most definitely, man. And honestly, like I've been saying this since he got on the roster and he played those first couple of training sessions with us. Kelly Kohlberg is one of the most underrated people in this league. His speed really, really shocks you. Actually, I've seen him in training on multiple occasions, practicing with Santi and with Connor Murphy on chasing down box kicks, trying to get them in like just that right spot to get the try. And on multiple occasions, I've seen him pull it off, beautifully. Of course, that's, with no defense. But so in terms of the game, so obviously there was the issues with the Facebook Live broadcast. Sometimes that happens with technology. It's a total bitch. But one thing you can do to combat that, though, is if you're in the Houston area or the greater Texas area, go to the game. I swear to God, it works every single time. You never, ever have, bad interruptions when you just go to the game. Now, obviously, I was pretty disappointed in the overall result, and the stats actually are going to back that up. The Cats only had a 46% possession advantage throughout, 466 total meters gained compared to Toronto's 605. So with 93 total passes for Houston, that's only an average of about 5 meters per pass. Compare that to the only 53% gain line rate, and you can tell that there was a lot more lateral movement than movement going forward for the SaberCats, and that's a big reason why they lost. There just wasn't that efficiency when they had the ball in hand. Now, you could also look at two crucial mistakes at 2 points in the game. Max Tackett had a really bad fumble that was returned for a try. Aaron Schramm threw an interception that was returned for a try in a game that was decided by 17 points. Both of those tries off the turnovers were converted. So in a 17-point game, that's 14 points that we just kind of gave away to Toronto. If those mistakes hadn't been made, we possibly could have relied on Sam Windsor's foot a little bit more just to put us over that edge. It could have changed the whole formula, but shoulda, woulda, coulda.
I think one thing in this game you saw was at key points, rather than what we saw, I guess, for the SaberCats in San Diego, but at key points when the Arrows had the momentum, they did burn a lot of clock. Which, I mean, it works well when you can play smart tactically and then push the ball deep to get out of that situation, or if you're able to break the game line and eventually convert for points either with a penalty or a try.
Yeah, no, exactly. And one of the people who was great in terms of keeping possession for Toronto and making sure that they were able to kill that clock was Dan Moore, who got the man of the match honors. One of the things I said in my preview earlier this week before the game was that the Cats had to work to contain Dan Moore, but that obviously didn't happen. The guy not only was great with the ball in hand, but he was just all over the field defensively as well. He's a really, really versatile player. Really nice guy too. I got to have a word or two with him after the match. But other impact player for Toronto though, Sam Malcolm, overall going 8 for 8 on kicks. Put up a ton of points. He did pretty darn well too on the field with the ball in hand as well. So those are two players that really put this game over the edge. While the SaberCats do have a ton of playmakers, it was just Toronto's overall efficiency coupled with Moore and Malcolm's just phenomenal games that really put it together for them. However, I don't want to be Mr. Negative Nancy, especially considering I work for the SaberCats. There definitely were some highlights in this game. As Aaron said, they got a little bit more creative in the passing game. They really, like in practice and in the game, they really worked to actually try to get the ball down the line to try to create some plays, create some opportunities, especially having people like Osea Kalinisau and Malachi Esdale out there on the outside with so much game-breaking ability. Zach Pangilinan, however, was a huge factor on offense, not just off of his foot, but with the ball in hand. He had 67 total meters gained on 7 carries, with most of our eventual scoring drives getting set up by him. Esdale had a try in this game, showing off some crazy footwork. But on the defensive side, Luc Beauchamp. I'm sorry, Luke. I always
Beauchamp.
I've got to say it with an Australian accent. Luc Beauchamp.
Yeah, because it's like French but Australian at the same time.
Luc Beauchamp is one of their best defensemen. He's leading the team in tackles with 15 for a 91% tackle success rate. Then Aaron Stram also made his presence felt as well. He kind of made up for that interception at a few different points. The good majority of his tackles were behind the ruck, making sure that Toronto didn't reach that gain line. So again, there were some highlights to be had by by Houston, but unfortunately, it just wasn't an efficient game when they had the chance.
Yeah. So moving on. So Corey mentioned production issues. Yeah. So consider, I guess, we're going to have this disclaimer elsewhere. Yes, I do work for the league. Yes, we were working through some production issues because the national broadcast is on Facebook Live for Houston when they're at home and not on CBS. There were some kinks that the production team did not, I guess, run through beforehand. But it did get fixed. So the next time that there are 2 games live on Facebook Live, that will be good to go. And Corey, just to let you know, you can go watch both games in full on Facebook for both of those teams, and you can quit complaining.
All right. I don't feel like I'm going to stop complaining anytime soon. Maybe on this one topic, I'll kind of change my tune, but just in general, I'm going to kind of keep bitching because that's what I do. So,
so the Legion one was more. So the Austin Legion game was more. I feel like there was a bandwidth issue because the stream would go. Well, the second half it went straight, but the stream in the first half went for like 10 minutes, stopped, cut out, 5 minutes, restarted, cut out, 10 minutes, restarted, then 20 minutes into the half. Really annoying. But JP Duplessis scored the first try for San Diego. I mean, did any of us think this was going to be a close game?
No, not at all. I'm not surprised by the final score whatsoever.
So if you're a Legion fan, this game shows you what they can do, and still wasn't a complete game for them. As I said previously, you're still seeing moments where Austin plays great rugby, and that's a credit to them. They had it close at the half, but sometimes you have to learn how to win, and San Diego wasn't a team that they were going to learn how to win against. In the scrimmage, Paddy Ryan continues to be the class tight end prop in the league. Dean Meir at hooker also put up another solid shift, scored a try. It was really, as far as people are going to be like, oh, why did you love? Well, when it comes to team of the week, first 15 of the week selection, Dean Meir was like number 2, but Chad Guff had a 95-meter try. So there you go. Dean Meir, really good player. I would say overall he is a huge upgrade at the hooker position for San Diego. Think about this. They've got an Eagle hooker now because he just got capped. No, wait. They've got 2 Eagle hookers in Pat Blair, who's not on the active side with Eagles 15, but, he's capped Eagle. Now you've got Capelli Pifoletti, who just got capped this weekend. Shout out to all 2 minutes of game time. And Dean Meir, they've got depth at hooker, and probably the best hooker crop in the league, really. I talk about props. We're going to talk about scrummaging a little bit later, a lot, I think. And the primary thing you look for, and I'm sure you hear this from the rugby evangelist himself, Grant Cole, and you, Liam, probably hear this from Fitzy a lot. Is primary thing with props I want to see, the first thing when I want to see a prop, I don't really care what they do as a runner. I mean, I do. If you can prop and you can run and you can carry powerfully
and you can dodge a ball,
yeah, you are a dynamic player.
Or a wrench.
The Simone Corcool was replaced at the half. So if you want to know what Paddy Ryan's dominance was against his opposition, there you go. Austin, has some great back row and second row players. Dominique Bailey, he led the league in tackles this week with 27. It was a lot. and I think it was Travis Larson, right? Larson that's here, and not with Canada this week. He had a great game. I think he was declared man of the match for the game for Austin. He had a really good game. But the attack, I'm a big fan of Nate Augsburger in general. He's a great dude. He's a very dynamic winger. He's had a lot of turns as the Eagle scrummy where I've cringed, especially when he chooses to box kick. Didn't really have that. I didn't cringe at all when he box kick or put the ball in play with his foot. And Friday night he just did what Nate Augsburger does. High work rate, makes these massive quick carries off the ruck, similar to Nate Boyer's style. But Nick Boyer is also like the size of a blindside. So there you go. His kicking, tackling, he had 14 tackles. Probably one of the few complete games I've seen from him as a scrum half. Saul Mooching, there's a lot of criticism last year with his selection into the Eagles. He didn't play in the MLR. I'm not sure. Well, the ARC is almost over, so he's going to have a lot of time to put his hand up and develop under this coaching staff. But he had a really good game. But man, Psalm, I'm going to tell you, if you're going to play the blind side, I need you to get big. We need to get back to Washington big, start eating some hamburgers, start lifting them weights, and just get huge like James Haskell. Because maybe we'll talk about why the Eagles 6 shirt is open later on in the podcast. You shut up.
I have to be the ass. I'm from Massachusetts, man. In truth, masshole, dude. So in truth, I wasn't able to watch this one because I was kind of working at the same time that it was on. It happens with all of us rugby fans, except I just had the good fortune to be working at a rugby game. But the end result, obviously, like I said, was no surprise. It felt like all of last season, San Diego was ready to break out, but they just never really did. They made the playoffs. They had a good season, but I never felt like they ever kind of took over the way they were capable of. Now, like I said, I wasn't able to watch this game, but I did check out the official stat report. We had total dominance on San Diego's end. A 60% possession advantage, 71% territory advantage, and nearly 7 full minutes more of attacking minutes. All that for a total of 814 meters gained compared to just 499 for Austin. Now, I dug through some of the stats to see where Austin may have edged out San Diego. And the only thing that I was able to really find for Austin in terms of a bright side was tackling percentage, with 86% compared to 83%. But if you look at that on the flip side, if your team is doing more tackling than the other, you don't have the ball in hand and you're not going to be scoring. So, tomato, tomato, however you want to look at that.
Yeah, you want to have a high completion percentage when it comes to your tackling, but in a game, if you win, there are interesting stats to look at. If you have a lot of tackles, it usually means you don't have possession. But if you're losing and you don't have possession and you have a lot of tackles, that just shows what's up, I guess, right? Mm-hmm. In this, their tackle rate got driven up, but really what San Diego was able to do is just really tactical compared to, they weren't necessarily out physicaling them around the park the entire time because they wanted to play a much faster game. But we've seen San Diego at home at least play that style of game where they just pummel you as well. It would be interesting to see how they match up. Well, they've already played the Seawolves, so how they match up really with another offensive team in New Orleans.
NOLA.
But yeah, it's something's gonna turn for Austin. I It's probably going to be in the second half of the season when they're on the road, though. So that's going to suck for Austin fans.
The home games are ticking away, unfortunately, man. And, yeah.
Ciao.
All right. Well, so that happened on Friday. Then Saturday, we turned over the page to Utah. We had Glendale traveling up north, or not north so much, I guess, more west than anything. I don't know geography. Where are we now?
Like west.
Yeah.
So it's like Denver, right here. Salt Lake is like up here, so it was like a west, northwest type.
North by northwest.
And they ran into Jimmy Stewart in an airplane.
Well, north by northwest would have put them in like Wyoming.
Yeah.
So.
Let me make the Hitchcock reference, man. I'm a film nerd.
I gotcha. I was with you. I was following you down that rabbit hole. So, yes, Raptors versus Warriors. And you know what happened? I'll tell you what happened. Nobody won this game.
Yeah.
Also, nobody lost this game. It's kind of weird. They actually pulled a draw on this one. 26-all. First draw in Major League Rugby. It took us a season and a half to get here. It was interesting. You know, the Raptors didn't score for the first about 50 minutes of this game. Utah was able to put on 21 points on them. And suddenly the Raptors just woke up. I think they made some strategic substitutions, maybe brought in some fresh legs. And, yeah, I don't know. Liam, why don't you start us off and tell us what you saw at this game?
So I just want to say Utah should have won this game. When you go up 21-0 through 50 minutes, you need to keep the pedal to the metal, man. But Utah, y'all just fell off. I mean, like, what happened? Like, now, obviously, when you have players like Luke White and Ryberg who refuse to go down on first contact, and then you have the ageless wonder known as Adam Alifa paired with Mika Kruse and Harley Davidson on the outside. It's going to be difficult. A comeback is always going to be possible. But even still, dude, like 21-0 through 50 minutes is a lot of points. Now, continuing as I have tonight, let me break down some of the numbers for y'all. Utah's fast start was able to get them a 51% possession advantage to go along with a 53% margin in territory. But those could have definitely been higher had their late game collapse not allowed Glendale to control so much of the possession in the final 25 minutes of the match. Because really they did. That's like they were able to just to keep the ball, keep scoring points, and keep being efficient. What gets even more frustrating is that Glendale led this game in turnovers, with Utah making an additional 3 steals in the breakdown. So Utah was creating opportunities for them to put this game away, but they just weren't capitalizing on them. And that's what just that, you know, I imagine that's extremely frustrating for fans of the Warriors to have been watching. Now, one thing that did make sense when all was said and done was Glendale's 80% mark, making the gain line far outstripped Utah's 68%. Now, that probably has a lot to do, again, with guys like White, Ryberg, and Rogers, who are just so hard to bring down. You know, when you allow guys to run like that on the short ball, it can sometimes be just as effective at gaining ground and passing it out wide. So Glendale, they just have so many players who can attack you from all different ways, whether they want to pound the rock or they want to pass it out wide. They're going to find ways to score points, and you're never going to shut them out. But it's just all Utah needed to do was just to shore up on defense and make sure that the points that were going to be scored were kept to a minimum. They just couldn't do that, which sucked.
So far, Glendale's problem is they're just not putting together complete games. And, you know, I said this, I think, what was it, after the first week? And, yeah, I was like, someone's going to get run over. And, you know, it happened to be Austin, but I think everyone's running over Austin at this point. But I was watching this match in the background of the Eagles match, and it was kind of wild. Was Utah finally putting it together? Because there's something about when you put a mostly Islander squad together, they tend to gel at a certain point and just run off with this stuff. But I guess not. Glendale woke the heck up, won the second half. John Ryberg's a freaking mutant. You know, Brock Stollard had a decent game instead of a great game. For Seattle, we're probably talking about John Ryburn being player of the week because he had over 200 meters gained, 2 tries. When it comes to tackling or carrying, he was really everything. I think people call him muscles. Well, he needs a better haircut. Okay, like that's probably why they call him muscles, because the haircut just takes away from him. But let's also talk about Chad Guff. I think we had hookerception, like hooker inception. So Chad Guff was an All-American at Utah and was once coached by Blake Burdett. And Blake Burdett was the reserve hooker for Utah. Where is Alex Vorster? Someone asked that question. We're going to get to that, but Blake Burdett's 39, man. Bro, it's time to just go coach the scrum and call it good. Why is the former coach of the Utah Selects now backing up at hooker for Utah? That's just so insane. But Chad Guff, 95-meter try in limited time. He put up a great effort for Glendale. Without that, taking that ball, we might be talking about a Utah victory. But they just have guys that can turn it on at the right time. And I guess, Glendale overall figured out what they needed to do with their tight 5 in the last 30 minutes of the game. What's going on with Utah? In the press, they talked about improving their defense and fitness. I can tell you that it just fell right the heck off. Defense became non-existent and lackadaisical. Fitness, the guys were just sort of jogging after Chad Guff. I know that there's no reason why Chad Guff is going to outrun Feitu Vainicolo, but he did. So, and that's your first draw in Major League Rugby history.
I just want to say on that note, though, the one thing pro rugby really got right was overtime. I know, over in Europe, it's not that big of a deal, but I really, really don't like draws. It just leaves me wanting more. It's like drinking a Diet Coke, just.
Well, I got a bigger issue with bonus points somehow pushing you higher on the table, even though someone else has more wins. So I guess we both can have things to gripe about.
Mm-hmm. And gripe we shall. Just like Corey, man. We're always going to complain, no matter what.
It's what we do. We got ears full of dirt, and that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So the last game of the weekend, Seattle finished us out on a Sunday night again. Actually kind of enjoy ending my weeks with good competition up in Seattle. That's been a lot of fun so far. This time around, it was Rooney going up against the seawall, and boy, oh boy, it did not go well for him.
Well, for the first 20 minutes, it went all right. But then after that, no, it didn't.
Rooney fell at Starfire, 33-21. I gotta say, I was kind of surprised by a double-digit loss by Rooney. That just seemed big. That was a bigger margin than I was expecting from a team that I thought had been looking pretty good. So I don't know, Aaron, what do you think of this one?
Well, let's take a step back and why I told our friend Craig Credelli over at American RFC and a writer for the Runner Sports that I don't know why you think New York is so high on your power rating list. Because they've only played one game, and it was. Does everyone remember how the San Diego game went for them? Because they scored 7 points off a penalty try, so that's 8. That means they actually scored 18, right? And they scored, it was like 25, and then San Diego just dominated the last 40 minutes of that game. So, But then they sort of made people believe in what they did, and they came from behind and defeated New Orleans. Yet their flaws from those games were very apparent in this one. But before we get to that, we need a slow clap for Starfire. Finally, after so many complaints, I don't know who was spoken to, but we have white lines marking on the rugby pitch instead of the blue stuff, the yellow stuff, whatever, and it just looked bad. But we had white lines, and it was beautiful. Thank you. Let's keep it going the rest of the season. No more blue, no more yellow. We're good.
Well, we'll give it to you. You tried something different. You got creative. It didn't work. There's nothing wrong with that. But now just stick to what works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. What ain't broke, the concept of white lines on a rugby field.
But, so like I said, I don't know how. So let's talk about scrum again.
Scrums.
Boring. So I was talking to Gary Gold today during press availability. He's like, we could sit and over a period of hours, I could bore you with the technical aspects of why, like how a scrum works and the process. And I was like, well, someday. I said, well, someday we're just gonna have to make that happen, But so I don't know how New York earned some of their scrummage penalties, and I really don't. Because Paddy Ryan and James Rockford were getting dominated by Tim Metcher and Ali Khalifi. I've talked about their props, have had a rough go really since week one, and their back line has been what's kept them in all three of these games, really. I would say stylistically, the attacks are very similar, more so due to Seattle's previously, lack of coaching, what the system they used was more last season was more opportunistic than not, but I really we're going to have to sit down and talk to Mike Tolkien because I want to see what he's changed from when he was the Eagles coach, because there was, compared to the NOLA game, there was just like a lack of creativity. What's changed, or is it just not being executed well? Like they still put the ball in play, but they ran into a good team. And, NOLA was a good team, and NOLA probably would have won that game if, Scott Gale and JP Eloff just, woke up on the right side of the bet when it came to kicking points. But in this, so really props, Achilles heel, poor scrummaging, but also around the park. They, like we talked about props being able to run, they didn't really get it done. But Seattle's attack is starting to shift because of two reasons. Coaching, Richie Walker being able to be that set of eyes that is not playing and install a system. And SEMA. Last year they didn't have a healthy kicking fly half. Peter Smith, he was only available 2 games. Will Holder played some fly half for them. Will Holder is not a kicking fly half. And what I mean by kicking fly half isn't just kicking for points. I mean being able to put the ball in play on chicken chases and squib and grubber kicks. But if SEMA keeps playing like this, he's going to be back in an Eagles jersey, at least to carry some water on in Japan. Set piece. Seattle dominated this, counteracting most of what New York tried to do, whether it was in the scrum or in the lineout. They stole they stole 3 lineouts and they scored off 2 of those. Or through phase play, they got that possession led to 2 scores for Seattle. It was, again, the Seattle game was still a bit more opportunistic. Liam's going to talk about statistically what was going on, but that really, because of the handling errors, that's why there's a big difference for New York and why they gained so many more meters versus Seattle. It's sort of like Glendale being able to put up 1,000 meters a game and still lose 3 games in a row or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Well, if you want to talk about, statistical anomalies with people who lose, let's get on to this game. So I just want to say right off the bat, I hate this game. I thought the rugby itself played was great, but like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I was trying to edit this game all day today. Sports code was glitching, so I was basically watching all of the players on film kind of be robots. So it wasn't a fun time. The first half of this game I found to be way more competitive before Seattle really started to pull away. I liked the way Rooney moved the ball around at points, but there were phases that just left totally unfinished because of stupid mistakes, penalties, especially a few turnovers in the breakdown that could have swayed momentum a different way. So totally unexpected stat here, though. Rooney controlled 60% of the possession. 60% of the possession. Let that kind of sink in. Not only that, but they outgained Seattle by more than 280 meters throughout the entire game. So just looking at that, like I said, so many great finishes that were just left unfinished. Whereas Seattle, they were just being efficient, man.
But how much time was that inside Seattle's 22 though? Not a lot. So
no, it was between the 22s and I believe territory was only at like 53 or 54%.
Seattle was able to keep them out of their half and out of their 22. And you can always put up garbage meters, but like I said earlier, if you're giving away set pieces, you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
Period. And there was one where Seattle just took their scrum put. Like it was weird. It was funny.
The thing is, though, Seattle was just efficient, though. So I did a little bit of like the simple math. I'm not good at math, so just really quick division. Seattle was averaging about 6.26 meters per pass, which is about where you want to be, while New York was only about 5.4. So kind of like you're implying, they allowed New York to sort of control possession like between the 22s, but when it came to actually doing stuff when you had possession of the ball, Seattle was just by far, the better team. They made the most of the opportunities that they had, whereas Rooney just ate up the clock, tired out their own players, and kind of took away their chances of a comeback as the clock continued to tick and tick and tick. It wasn't up until about 65, 70 minutes, I would say New York had a chance in this one to come back. But after that, it was pretty clearly to be Seattle's game.
I gotta say, I must not have a lot of fly halves following me on Twitter because no one answered my question about what SEMA did. Do we think that SEMA fumbled the ball a little bit before he kicked it?
No.
Or was that a fake?
Was
it a straight fake?
So I remember them talking about this on the original broadcast, and I had the chance to watch it, multiple times today while breaking down the film. Absolutely not, dude. He just kind of it was almost like he faked it almost. But the ball.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, was it an intentional fake or did it just sort of happen? Because
I think it just sort of kind of happened, but it definitely wasn't a knock on by any.
No. I'm not saying it was a knock on because it clearly wasn't. But I want to know: are we going to bring in the fly half double clutch in I would love to see that. Just start becoming a thing like the pump fake in football. You have a fly half fake where he double clutches the ball when he's going to kick it, and then you know what happens because there's a level of commitment that happens when people are thinking there's about to be a knock on, but puts the ball downfield and Stoller clear vision. And just runs down, gets it, dots it down for the try. Like that's when there was a knife shoved right through the heart of New York when that happened.
Good.
Shipping up to Boston. Whoa!
It's not even it's partially a Boston thing, but it's also the fact that I want them to be demoralized before they get down to here to Houston.
Like shipping up to Boston, like the DJ at Starfire played shipping up to Boston with his sport. It was so funny. I was like, okay.
I mean, at the same time, you think people in Seattle will be sick about hearing about Boston, because who knows what would have happened if Marshawn had got the ball? I guess we'll never know.
Well, and I gotta love being back on the comment section here on YouTube. It's been a while, and there is some serious New York hate going on down here. Raphael notwithstanding, he's yeah, there's some tear up going on. So, all right, so that wraps up Major League Rugby for the weekend. But of course, our Eagles were also in action. They're back on U.S. soil. They're down in Texas, in Austin for this one. They faced off against Brazil. And like I feel like I've been saying every week, I wish I could have watched this game. I didn't. I can't afford it. So what I know from Twitter.
So I guess if anyone who, Sunday, I had a discussion about flow, and all I gotta say is when I'm watching the feed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Alex Goff has an ESPN mic from the sideline.
He probably got it at the thrift store, man. Like, give him a break.
Got it at the thrift store.
the secondhand broadcast shop. ESPN's got to find a way to make money somehow, selling off their mics.
Mm-hmm.
So what we know from Twitter is that the U.S. beat Brazil 33-28, whopping 5 points right there. On the surface, this sounds like a disappointing scoreline. Prove me wrong, guys.
What? Huh?
I didn't watch because I can't afford it.
Why do you want me to? Well, I guess I have to afford it somehow. I think I'm going to get shot for this subscription. So spoke to Gary this afternoon during press availability. There was some disappointment following the match by both the coaching staff and the Eagles themselves. Talked to some of our friends who spoke to some of the boys after the game. It was a win that felt like a loss. And, you know what they say, you learn more in a loss than you do in a win. So I really had to gather my thoughts before I wrote the recap, and I had to analyze, where we were at one point and where we are now. So going into this game, if you look at the tempo we played at first, pushing the ball in the center with some hard carrying and attempting to force up the tackle rate, I knew what we were trying to do early, and it was really to send a message. And I'm not sure we needed to send the message in the first half like that, but it sort of played into Ostupi's hands rather than being more creative and just shoving the ball down their throat with heavy scoring. And, we did get more creative and we put up a lot of tries early. The Eagles did dictate the tempo, and, like during press availability, we talked about some tries that were kind of called back. And, if with a different ref, maybe that changes. Who knows? They were judgment calls, but at least one of them looked pretty good. And we almost had it. We almost put the nail in the coffin. And at the half, scoring in extra time, we got lucky. But Jonquil, bro, do not do that. At blindside flanker, he came unbound and started messing with the scrum as if he was trying to tell the ref that there was something wrong. I really don't care, because you're selling out on your loose head prop when you're coming out, when you just come unbound and you're not giving him the extra push that he needs against this dominant scrum that has their processes down. Because, I talked about it in the recap that you can find on earfuldirt.com. This was basically an experimental type 5. And this type 5 in this combination has never played together before. Yes, Nate Brakely and Nick Chavetta have been a lock pairing together over numerous tests, but they also Nick Chavetta has propped behind James Hildebrand before and has propped behind Paul Mullen before. But as a group, Chance Wingleski, James Hildebrand, Paul Mullen, Nate Brakely and Nick Chavetta, like they've never been together like that, and it really talks about the scrum as a process, and the Type 5 process is very important, and even with your back row and how they push, and this just Johnny Locks, you were lucky to not get a yellow. But Gary talked about it on press availability and how it's beautiful because with what Ostupis did. He talked to their coaches after the game during the social, and they went in depth, and they're in the middle of a really big time Type 5 revamp down there that they're sort of peaking now, and they've got the great thing, like for what they have, they've got some really good talent in their starting props right now. And as a pound for pound scrum, it's probably one of the best, if not the best in the world. Yes, someone's going to hit me for that, but it's the truth. Would they compete against the All Blacks? No, but that's why I said pound for pound. We need to make a lot of adjustments here. We learned that this was an important lesson, and this did need to happen so that we could play the rest of this tournament, because it doesn't get easier this week.
No, it does not.
And with that in mind, if you guys are good with it, let's get to the preview. And before that, let's get to the review. So every week we like to go back and kind of go through our failures and successes and our predictions. So I think, unless I've got any disagreements, I'll just kind of buzz through this and tell you all what we thought and what actually happened.
Go right on ahead.
So first game of the weekend was Toronto at Houston, and that we all said that, well, let's see. I guess Aaron and I both had Toronto winning that one. Liam, you had Houston winning by 3. The final score was 44-27 Toronto. San Diego was 45-17 over Austin, and looks like we all had San Diego on that one. I said by 12, Aaron said by 10, Liam said by 9. Glendale versus Utah. Well, none of us predicted a draw on this one.
A game of two halves.
I said Glendale by 3, Aaron said Glendale by 5, and Liam said Glendale by 10. And then wrapping up the weekend, Seattle versus Rooney. With the final score was 33-21 Seattle. I said Seattle by 3, Aaron said Seattle by 2, and Liam said Rooney by 6. Then on the national side, we all predicted USA would beat Brazil, and we were all a little too optimistic on this one. I said USA by 10, Aaron said USA by 15, and Liam said USA by 13. So, I mean, not terrible. I think we did a pretty good job splitting that one up. So,
well, the rugby forecast algorithm had USA beating Brazil by 47. I gave our friend over at Rugby Forecast some cane. Like I shook the stick at him today, and he was like, "Who, me?"
Talking to me.
So, Aaron, where's that put us on the standings then?
So San Diego moves to the top at 18 points on the table. New Orleans drops a week. They're idle with a bye week to second in the table with 17 points. Seattle moves up to third with their victory over Rugby United New York. And Toronto is now above the red line as a Final Four team after 4 matches played and 5 weeks of the season gone. Glendale, they've gained points in their losses, and they got 3 points in this draw, so they have jumped up to 5th. New York has, plummeted to 6th is the way to call that. Utah gets some points here and I guess moves to 7. Houston is tied after their loss with 6 points on the table with Utah, and then Austin is just adrift with only 2 points on the table in 5 losses. But, I mean, previous to this game, their point differential was really close. And, you know, like San Diego is probably going to do to somebody else, they doubled their point differential. Ugh.
Well, and it's really, like you said, it's really bunched up at the top right now. You know, 18 points, 17 points, 16 points. So 2 points separating the top 3 teams. So there's going to be a lot of movement yet to come at the top of that chart. All right, coming up this weekend, literally every single game all weekend is on Saturday night. That includes the national team game. So
might change my schedule.
Mm-hmm. So I hope nobody has any plans on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday night, just go ahead, clear your calendar out for 4 hours, and you can get everything out of the way. That's all you need this weekend. 4 hours, 2 monitors, you'll be set.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh my God, I just noticed that it's a night game for Houston again. I'm gonna be at the freaking stadium until midnight.
Grab some Red Bulls, man.
Yeah.
Just bring your own coffee maker. You know, plug the pot in. You know, industrial size, about 40 cups in it. You know,
you'll catch a shot at me up on the picnic pavilion, just with a Keurig right next to my camera. I'll give you guys a wave.
Hey, you've got Castro here as a grad student. He's going to be able to teach you a whole lot of stuff about staying up late studying. So
I was an English major, dude. Don't worry. I've been there, done that.
All right, Saturday night, starting at 8 p.m. These times are all in Eastern time zone, which none of us inhabit, but we'll go with that. 8 p.m. Eastern, we have got Rooney at Houston, and that's on Facebook Watch. 9 p.m. Eastern Saturday, we've got Toronto at Glendale on ESPN Plus, and NOLA at Utah, also at 9 p.m. on ESPN Plus. And then the national games, USA versus Uruguay at Starfire in Seattle at 10 p.m. Eastern. So going back to the top, what's your predictions, fellas?
So, this is, I would say, New York versus SaberCats is kind of a tough game to pick. They've, beaten the 2 top teams in the league, but they've also lost some games, so we shall see. But I'm going New York -8, but I think if things go right and Houston doesn't need to neutralize the scrum because they're better, if that makes sense. If they can do some of what Seattle did, I can see them winning by, an unconverted try. But I'm going New York -8 here.
Yeah, so I'm going to actually have to bet against the SaberCats coming in this week. And like Aaron said, I think the SaberCats definitely have an advantage in the scrum. And if they're able to pull out the victory, I think that's going to be where it stems from. However, what I'm concerned about, though, is the comparative line speed between these 2 teams. Rooney, I think, is really efficient in terms of getting to the outside, whereas Houston definitely has the playmakers, but getting the ball out to them has oftentimes been an issue this season, which is why I'm going to be going Rooney -7.
And you know me, I love big score lines, so I'm going to go ahead and say Rooney by 20 over Houston on the road.
Come off it, mate.
20 points. You're insane.
Yeah, well, it's not the first time I've been accused.
Dude,
of that.
I'm gonna print out this script, right? Like our rundown, and I'm gonna nail it to the damn bulletin board in the office, and I'm gonna let every player look at that freaking prediction.
Hey, Mike.
I'm gonna give him your email address.
My coworker said -20, bro.
Hey, let that be a motivator.
Hey, you could put that bet on if you have Bitcoin. You could put that bet on Fairlay.
I actually do have like 0.000562 Bitcoin just sitting around doing nothing right now. So
it's like $500.
Dude, One of my college friends bought a Bitcoin when we were like younger in high school, like sophomore, back when it was like actually affordable. Still has this Bitcoin just sitting now, and yeah, he's loving it right now.
Well,
he thinks it's going to be his retirement.
Well,
until it crashes.
Well, it already crashed. It's like at $5,000 right now. He should have sold at 15. Jeez.
Hey man, let it ride. Fuck, I'm pretty sure he bought it for like $20.
Well, there you go.
Also Saturday is Toronto at Glendale. Aaron, what do you think about this one?
Well, the cold isn't going to be an issue. The altitude might. I'm still going Toronto -7. You know what they want to do with their game plan, and they also don't cough up the ball, which is important. And Glendale, they've cleaned it up some, but as we saw last week, they were asleep at the wheel for 50 whole minutes. So, yet again, Glendale knows how to play attacking rugby. I can see them win this one if they hold on to the ball and don't knock it on a bunch of times or just let it slip through their fingers. Yet, like I said, Toronto -7.
Ooh. So I'm going to be a little less optimistic for Glendale's chances. I'm going to be going Toronto -12. I think Toronto just looks like the much more complete team. I think Glendale lacks a lot of discipline. I think they create a lot of penalties and problems for themselves, especially in the breakdown. So I think Toronto is going to be able to take advantage of a lot of their mistakes in the way that Utah just wasn't able to in the second half of last week's games. Which is why Toronto -12.
I'm going to go with Toronto -5 just because I think it's going to be a close game, and I think Glendale will put up a good fight. But I just think Toronto's got the momentum right now.
I can see this as being a second half game where somebody's going to pull away at some point in time, and it's going to look a lot more lopsided than it was.
Or it could be a draw. We don't know.
God frickin' forbid. Doug Schrodinger, we need you. No, that's a joke. We don't need you. Go back to your cave.
And now Liam's being sued.
Sniper rifle through my...
just dying.
Then we have NOLA traveling to Utah. Aaron, what you got on this one?
Wow. So I'm going NOLA -5. They know how to, they don't start on the back foot. They play a wide open attack. They're going to score points. Their games have been close, and we saw last week that Utah can score points, but they also can't play defense. So, NOLA -5. This could even be ugly, but I think Utah will score some points and keep it close.
Definitely depends how Utah wants to play this offensively. If they allow, if they allow themselves to play a little bit more fastball and catch NOLA off guard, then obviously it might be a bit of a closer contest. However, I think NOLA has proven up to this point that they're efficient, they're very fast, they can put up a lot of points in a very short amount of time. I'm going to go NOLA -10, but I think that they have the potential to score a lot more points.
Yeah, I like NOLA on this one too, for two reasons. First, they're coming off a bye week, which means they're going to be rested traveling up to Utah. But then also they're coming off of a loss before that, and so I think they're going to be hungry to climb back up to the top of that chart. So,
and they don't have a 40-year-old hooker in the middle of their scrum.
Correct. That helps. Then we're wrapping up the weekend with USA versus Uruguay in Seattle. Yeah. Well, what do you think about this one, fellas?
When it comes to overall roster shape, ours is still better. Even though they're bringing in the big guns, I think this is going to be very close. I think that we are going to score points because that is what we want to do. But I also think Uruguay knows how to score some points as well. Santiago Arata is back from his suspension, so he's going to be able to run that attack very well. And we also know what Uruguay is able to do with 14 men on the pitch like they did against Canada, which was, as Gary said today, very impressive. So we are not taking this one lightly, but still got to back the boys. They know what they have to do. They know what they've got to fix, and they've got a standard week to do it. So yeah, go Eagles.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Aaron on this one as well. Obviously I got a good friend in Santiago Arada going down there to represent Uruguay, but I'm going to have to go with USA -9. I think the big difference is going to be made in kicking at the post. I think the USA is going to opt to take the points when they're there, and that's what's going to be able to put us over the edge. Although here's to you, Santi. I hope you don't get another fucking red card.
Well, I'm a little scared to say this because they might actually come and take away my citizenship, but I'm going to go ahead and say Uruguay by 2 on this one. I think the U.S. has not been showing us much that I'm excited about, and I think they might just show up and surprise us. This is not our ARC.
Maybe you should buy some Flow so that you can actually watch the game, man. I mean, geez. Projections were going to be the test side that wins the ARC, but, you got to play the game. It's going to be close. But
drink the Kool-Aid.
Man, picking against your boys, and we're not even playing a Tier 1 team. That is filthy. That is dirty. Ew. Go wash yourself.
Here. Okay, you want some logic? Uruguay is the second best South American outfit behind Argentina, in my opinion.
The last time we played them, in Montevideo, we took our talons, we flew into their nest, and we tore apart their little chicks because they're also birds. Los teros are also a bird. It's a little bird. An eagle? An eagle is a big bird, all right? And the last time we played, we beat the brakes off of them after we were just eating steak all week. So, if you want to know about, comparative scoring, history is on our side, man. And, we had a tough time against Brazil. I gotcha. But, it's going to be cold. It's going to be rainy.
If living in America has taught me anything, it's that the USA does not learn from history. So I refuse to accept that
as a legitimate argument.
Point. Yeah. Nothing in my lifetime has suggested to me that that's a thing.
Maybe I'm just still upset about the Argentina match. That just was embarrassing. And now I'm worried. So,
They put up a good game against Argentina 15, which was kind of impressive because they didn't have all their big guns because all their big guns were playing MLR the last couple of weeks. So I get your point. But them Eagles, they going to be hungry. They going to be hungry.
They're going to tear apart the little chicklets and they're going to eat them. We really want to get graphic here. Did you guys know Ben Franklin advocated against the eagle being the national symbol of the United States?
What an idiot.
Yeah, no, he advocated for the turkey.
I had heard that. I didn't know if it was real or if that was one of those old wives' tales.
Oh, man. Hey, man, I'm from Massachusetts, land of the Pilgrims. I do love me some turkey.
I will say that in certain neighborhoods of my city, and this is not going to help the rural image of Iowa at all, there are packs of wild turkeys that wander around, and those suckers are frickin' mean.
Dude,
they are frickin' mean as hell.
I can't even put you down.
So here's a question. Here's a question. Why don't you have a bow during hunting season, which spring hunting season is about to come out, and you can go put dinner on your table by putting a bolt in one of the butts, and you can be like, "Honey, I brought you a turkey. Thank you."
Drop it on the table and have her clean it.
Yeah,
Corey,
until
be a provider.
Until his wife is like, "Who's gonna pluck and gut that thing now, Corey?"
Well, then you could just take it to the butcher, and they'll do it.
They'll take care of it.
Well, here's the thing, Corey. I can't even put you down because where I grew up, just outside of Boston, is same thing. Packs of wild turkeys, they move around pretty not to overuse this word tonight, pretty efficiently, man. Like they're in packs. I've seen them use the crosswalks, but like when they first started getting really bad, they were like they all live near the middle school in my hometown because there's a bunch of woods behind it. So when kids are walking to and from school, the turkeys like would attack them and shit like that. Oh my! If you had the camera rolling, it was freaking
on the urban turkey hunting podcast next week.
Yeah, unfortunately, in my town, you'd get in a whole lot of trouble if you ever shot a bow out in public. That'd be a bad thing.
Wow, Massachusetts, land of the formerly free.
Hey man, we got a lot of legal stuff in Massachusetts that makes it awesome. So
can't imagine what you're talking about.
No, nothing.
All right.
We don't have happy hour. Happy hour is illegal in Massachusetts. Like that's not even a joke.
So wow. I was in Taunton.
Taunton. Yeah, one of my teammates is from Taunton.
And my buddy and I, when he got off work, this was like 2-3 winters ago or something like this. And so I went to go visit him, and he was working in Taunton. And we went to the Applebee's. And this is how you know it's pretty. This is how you know it's pretty sad as far as the regulars are concerned. When you know the name of the bartender, like the chick at the Applebee's. Oh, come on.
Dude, honestly, if I ever woke up in an Applebee's in Taunton, Massachusetts, I would just assume I was in hell. I'd be like, oh, shit, man. I shouldn't have been such a dick.
That's pretty much the point. Like, it's not even a Chili's, it's an Applebee's.
Right? It's like a Motel 6 in Buffalo, New York, dude. Like, this is the last place you really want to end up in your life.
Oh, there you go.
You know you've made some mistakes when. Oh, golly. Okay, guys, we are successfully running behind here.
I guess let's do a lightning round. Let's answer all of them and go fast.
Okay. So we have got a bunch of questions from Bob and different folks. So, as always, questions from Bob is our question and answer section of the show. A lot of these questions are collected from our Reddit page. That's reddit.com/r/mlrugby. And we post a thread most weeks on there seeking questions for this section. So we also got a few on here from Twitter and from YouTube. So Bob asks, St. Nee is our first submitter. If Reichert Hadding is eligible, what will it take to get him called up?
Some more good tape on the season, maybe an injury here or there. Who knows?
Well, he had an injury last year that didn't help him. He's eligible in June. Keeps that form. He's going to take someone's shirt. Maybe the blindside flanker.
For the love of rugby, how long until Elon Puddock gets a call up?
Injury. There's a long line at fullback, but his coaching staff needs to push him so that he gets selected for the next USA Selects tour.
Yeah, I would probably put Zach Pangilinan ahead of him in terms of people who are more deserving of the fullback call-up. However, I doubt it's going to be long. He's a really versatile backs player. He's played at a number position in the back row, so I could see Gary wanting to deploy him in a number of different spots.
Greetings, ADM. Any update on how far off Sebastian Kalm is to joining AER?
Nope. No update.
I thought we'd see him now. He's medically cleared, so it's got to just be conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Chan Dog 99. Why is Blake Burdetti playing for the Warriors? Former Eagle or not, I should think Alex Vorsters is in better shape than a 39-year-old front rower.
I've got no idea why Blake Burdett is starting. But we did have hookerception on Saturday with Blake Burdett going up against Chad Guff.
You'll have to ask Elf. Sometimes it's about the person, sometimes it's about the schedule, any number of things.
He Who Walks Slow. Do you guys want, or when do you guys want the ARC to happen? As it is now, or change to a different time of year?
I would like to see it maybe move to like middle of June, but at the same time, I don't really have much of a problem with it.
I love the winter tournament idea. I think it needs to be in this window to truly commercialize rugby on the international level for the Eagles themselves and sell those tickets. But that takes proper investment from USAR, and there hasn't been. But still, football in the US and Canada, football is huge in Canada. Going up against that is going to be tough, but whatever.
Conky2195. Which franchise will most likely become a dynasty in the future?
San Diego has the weather to attract the best talent in the league. Also, the ability to entice those playing in Sevens residency to play 15s full time.
You could be making $80,000 a year in San Diego and be just above the poverty line. However, I did say either San Diego or Seattle. Their academy systems are set up the right way, and their fan bases are going to be there to support it.
Well, if you live under a bridge and you're making $80,000, you're above the poverty line.
It was mad fun, but it's just wicked expensive.
Okay, this one came off Twitter. Adrian Thompson is at Wardley01. Last time the Seawolves lost at Starfire was week 1 of the 2018 season. Who do you think will be the side to end that streak?
I can't. It's hard to speculate, so I'm just going to go with Houston, baby.
San Diego.
San Diegans.
Santiago. I think it means a whale's vagina.
Yay, early 2000 references.
Jeff Connett 41. This is coming off YouTube.
Kennett.
Jeff Kennett. Sorry for mispronouncing your last name.
Freaking Iowans.
Jeff. Well, first of all, he did point out just moments ago regarding San Diego that it is currently legal to live in your van in San Diego.
Yeah,
not sure how much longer that's going to last, though.
I used to live in Santa Monica, man. It's legal there too. In fact, like there's like whole neighborhoods of people who live in their frickin' vans. They're called bums. living in LA is an odd experience. I'll just put it that way.
So Jeff wants to know, would the MLR ever consider doing a local blackout like the NFL used to do?
Oh,
MLR is never going to have numbers like the NFL.
Please
so.
don't. No.
Yeah.
No. Don't. Please.
All right. That's a hard no. Final question of the night from Steven Sealer. How critical is the bench, and which team has the deepest or most impactful bench?
Well, so the bench is very critical, especially in this much longer season compared to season 1. I think later on in the tournament, as they might say in Europe, we're going to be seeing exactly how important the benches are. I would say Houston definitely has the deepest roster in terms of the scrum at the expense of depth in the backs. I guess it's kind of up to opinion. I might put San Diego up there in terms of depth, across the board at least.
Well, I mean, I think overall San Diego probably has the greatest crop of front rowers right now in the league. I'm sure my friends in Houston will disagree with me, but the bench is extremely important. You have 23 guys, 8 on the bench. Use them. If you don't, Austin didn't use their bench effectively last year, and they lost a bunch of games. So,
And just for my sake, I'll say that I think NOLA's got a solid bench as well back there, especially once the ARC wraps up and they get all their players back. It could get real interesting real quick. All right. Well, that's it, fellas. Any final thoughts on our way out?
I've got a midterm paper to write on like pro sports law. So
I remember doing homework, but I'm just gonna say I'm tired. And I have that the same problems that plagued me today with sports code are gonna plague me tomorrow because I didn't exactly fix the problem. I just kind of was like, oh, it's 4 o'clock. I'm going home to listen to my audiobook and eat.
You got your 15 hours in for the day.
Straight up.
All right, fellas. Well, I don't have anything much to add, so I guess I'll just go ahead and read the legal crap, and then we'll go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
On our way out, please note that all opinions expressed on this broadcast are those of the hosts and the guests and do not necessarily reflect of the beliefs or practices of Major League Rugby teams or the league. Aaron Castro is employed by Major League Rugby. Liam Madigan-Freed is employed by the West Houston Lions and the Houston SaberCats. Be sure to tune in next week. We'll be live here on YouTube every single Monday night during the season and available on your favorite podcast platform every Wednesday morning. If you like what we do, please subscribe to our YouTube and iTunes feeds. It really helps folks find us. And be sure to share your news, views, and abuse with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you guys so much for listening. Until next time, get out there and watch some rugby.